Touchdown.
He's going deep. He's got it for the touchdown.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fire to the end zone. Touchdown!
A beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? Happy Victory Monday to each and every one of y'all. How y'all feeling today? The Dolphins are 5-1 atop of the AFC East. You can say whatever you want about that Bills-Dolphins game a couple weeks ago, but the fact remains, after 6 weeks in the NFL season, the AFC East runs through the Miami Dolphins. And could it be even more evident? You're talking about two teams that have gone two different paths since the Dolphins lost. And now after yesterday, I don't want to hear about strength of opponent no more. I don't want to hear it ever from a Bills fan's mouth. Y'all barely squeaked it out. Y'all won 14-9. You were shut out 6-0 for 3 quarters by a team the Miami Dolphins absolutely handed their ass to last week. Thank you very much. All right? Yeah. All of a sudden, y'all went real quiet when we were talking about strength of opponent, huh? The Bills could barely beat the New York Giants yesterday. After, quite frankly, against the Jacksonville Jaguars, crap in the bed and looking like they won their championship the week before against the Miami Dolphins. And we even look at the turnovers we had in that game. Man, at the rate the Bills are playing at right now, if they would have got down 14-0 to the Panthers, they might have lost that game. Let's be honest with ourselves right now. All right? So, listen, all I know is the Dolphins are 5-1. The AFC East right now runs through the Miami Dolphins. There ain't no singular, solitary doubt about it. And now what? I'm telling y'all, man, we might be on our way to week 18 where we're sitting starters because we got a first-round bye while the Bills are coming to Miami needing to get a W. So, listen, right now, it's a beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. And if you're a Bills fan, you got to be worried right now. You have to be worried right now if you're a Bills fan. Because we are trending upwards and y'all are like sputtering along. And I love it. I'm here for every single minute of it. Because I warned Dolphin fans, Bills fans, NFL fans before we played the Bills. Did I not come up here in front of each and every one of you and read off to you guys the win-loss record, whether you're betting on a team for the spread or straight up, teams who had come off blowout losses of that magnitude had a terrible record coming out. Whether you even bought, so you take them on the spread, terrible record. You take them straight up. Straight up means you're just picking the winner. Teams who come off the win the Miami Dolphins did against Denver Broncos historically have crapped the bed the next week. That's just a fact. And I warned everyone, warned every single one, just like I warned all y'all that the Broncos game wouldn't matter if we lost the Bills game. But no one wanted to listen. Listen, I thought we were going to win too, so don't get me wrong here. But history wasn't in our favor. That's just what the deal is. So we're going to see him in week 18. We're going to see him at the Rock, which I've been talking about the last week, is becoming one of the hardest places to win at in the NFL. The Dolphins are 15-2 in their last 17 games at home at Hard Rock Stadium right now. Just special stuff. I mean, look at what the Dolphins are doing right now. The Dolphins have scored 223 points this season. That's the 5th most points by a team in its first 6 games of a season in the Super Bowl era. Only the 2013 Broncos, the 2000 Rams, the 2009 Saints, and the 2007 Patriots had more. And you talk about the 15-2. Look at the Dolphins at home this season right now. The Dolphins at home are averaging 47.7 points per game. They total about 558 yards per game in offense at home right now. They're averaging about 8.8 yards per play at home. They're averaging 244.7 rushing yards per game. They're averaging 313.3 passing yards per game, and they have a plus 86-point differential at home. Those are all the best in the NFL right now. This is why I said when we lost to the Bills, what did I say? The focus has to be now, win out as much as you can because we need home field advantage. That's the one thing I took away from the Bills loss. We need home field advantage in the playoffs for at least the first 2 rounds, wild card and divisional. You need home round advantage. And listen, the team's been a good road team so far too, so I can't even knock them on that. But we need home field advantage. Look at the numbers we're putting up at home right now. Unbelievable. And the defense is starting to come on right now. The Miami Dolphins lead the NFL with 49 quarterback hits and 21 sacks, are tied for the most in the league so far this year. This was after their game had completed, so it was still pending the conclusion of the 4 o'clock games and the night games and tonight. The Miami Dolphins are now the number 3 DVOA offense ever through 6 games, behind only the 2000 St. Louis Rams and the 1999 Washington Redskins. I mean, we are seeing some special stuff from our Miami Dolphins. They are 5-1 for the first time since 2002. Man, it is a beautiful time to be a Dolphin fan. And guys, if you missed it, if you didn't see me upload the short, if you missed it on social media, the NFL tried to delete it. They tried to scrub it. I don't know why. I'm sure they're going to fine Tyreek for this. But if you hadn't had a chance, we all remember the 41-yard touchdown. We all saw the cell phone grab and the backflip. Here is the footage from the cell phone for all of you. I'll play it twice over. One more time for all of y'all. One more time for all y'all. There it is for y'all. Come in, do the thing. Do the backflip. Boo! So there is that for y'all. Listen, I love Tyreek Hill. He's obviously probably going to get fined. I mean, it is what it is. I think the guy that had, I think the guy that had the phone, he has his own personal social media guy. So I think that's who was that's who was with the phone. That's why he knew where to run and who to look for, which is big. I mean, you got Stephen Ross out here doing the waddle, and he worked for the NFL. I know he's got his own social media guy. I know he has his own social media guy for Soul Runner who follows him around and stuff because I follow him on Instagram. But y'all are saying that was an NFL guy? Ooh, and they shut it down. And the NFL came through and said, y'all are done. Oh, what a bad look, man. What a bad look. And now they're going to fine him probably for it. Unreal, man. And Tyreek said it best, man. He's playing for the love of the game right now. He don't need the money. I don't get it. I mean, we all know what the NFL stands for, and it ain't a lot of fun, that's for sure. So that's just absolutely brutal, man. Absolutely brutal that he's getting fined for that. That's ridiculous. I saw someone in the comments say it, and I agree with you 110%. Stephen Ross needs to be covering these fines. You know what I mean? Open up the checkbook, my friend. Let these guys do what they got to do. Let them enjoy life a little bit right now. Good God almighty. So that is where we're at with all of that. Listen, before we get into the PFF grades and next-gen stats, I got some stories I want to talk about too later on. There's a couple things I want to talk about coming out of yesterday. Number one, let's talk about this. Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill right now, they're just doing special stuff. I mean, what can you say right now that isn't overly gushing or giving these guys their flowers right now? Let's start with Tua Tagovailoa. Right now, Tua Tagovailoa has the most passing yards after the first 6 games in Dolphin history. He has 1,876 yards. There you see Dan Marino, Ryan Tannehill. That's a record, team record that it stood since 1986. We're talking about almost a 40-year team record. And it gets even better for Tua Tagovailoa right now. Right now, Tua Tagovailoa is the only NFL QB to have a 90-plus passer rating in all 6 games this season, and he leads the league in passer rating, passing yards, and yards per attempt. Like, he's just special right now. He's first in passing yards, those 1,876. He's first in passing touchdowns. He's tied for first with 14. He's first in touchdown rate at 7.1%. He's first in success rate at 57.6%. He's first in yards per attempt at 9.5. He's first in passer rating at 114.1. He's first in completion rating at 71.7. He's second in sack rate. He's only taking a sack on 3% of his dropbacks. And he's third in total QBR at 74.8 right now. Tua Tagovailoa is taking the next step in evolution and growth at the position. And it's deeper than just stats, too. I mean, we're seeing it a lot more frequent now where he's learning to live for another down. He's throwing the ball away. He doesn't like the pressure, throw it away. He gets out and extends it a little bit, but doesn't like what he sees downfield. He's still throwing it away. The growth, the maturity, what we're seeing from Tua Tagovailoa right now, hold your loved ones tight, because Reason's about to say it. Tua Tagovailoa right now is the best quarterback in football. You can sit here and say to me Patrick Mahomes is the most talented package-wise and trait-wise, and you wouldn't get an argument from me. But you're talking about play at the position right now. On October 16, 2023, Tua Tagovailoa is the best quarterback in the NFL through the first 6 weeks. And the only guy who came close was Brock Purdy, and it lasted like a week and a half. I don't know what to tell y'all right now. I said it in this space before. I'll say it again. I don't want to hear the Drew Brees comparisons. He's better than Drew Brees. He's more accurate. He anticipates better. I'm sorry. He's got better touch. He throws a prettier ball than Drew Brees did. The comparisons I want to hear from him in the pocket right now are the comparisons I discussed before we drafted him, along with EM Dolphin fan, and we said he had the ability to get to this level. He's going to have to win championships. But when I'm talking strictly quarterback play from the position right now, I think he should be compared more to prime Tom Brady than Drew Brees. When you're talking about the play of the position, not the accolades. I'm not talking about accolades. I'm talking about how they play in the pocket. Their short to intermediate game. Their extremely high football IQ. Their extremely high efficiency. What have I been saying for years? For a year and a half, what have I said? Y'all can keep your big arm. Y'all can keep your big arm on highlights. Give me high football IQ, elite accuracy, and elite efficiency. Why? Because Tom Brady and the New England Patriots built a freaking dynasty off those 3 things. And those 3 things are what Tua is excelling at right now. Look at his comprehension of the playbook. I'm going to show you an example here in a second. His comprehension of the playbook is next level. He's in an offense that's built for him and that's tailored to his skill set. Back when all y'all were saying, I want to see Tua with Sean Payton, Reason was over here saying, no, I want to see him with Kyle Shanahan and in that offense. This is why. Right now, you are seeing Tua Tagovailoa. They tried to convince us. Remember, after Lamar Jackson's MVP year, they tried to convince all of us the pocket quarterback was dead. It was a dying art. It's over. It's done with. It's all about making plays with your legs, making plays outside of the pockets. That's the new wave of the NFL. Belichick in the playoffs was retooling his defensive scheme to stop that kind of quarterback. Now where are we at in 2023? Now in 2023, only a few weeks into the new NFL season, what do we got Bill Belichick doing? Throwing everything in the kitchen sink to try and stop a pocket quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa. That's the evolution of where we're at right now. The great defensive-minded Bill Belichick is putting nothing but donuts up against Tua Tagovailoa. He can't beat the kid. But he could figure out all those athletic, no problem. Just keep him to the pocket, put extra DBs out there. We're good. Can't figure out Tua. Can't figure out Tua. 3 high safety looks, dual robber looks, throwing everything he can at Tua. Can't figure him out. Tua Tagovailoa right now. And you could throw Brock. Well, I mean, Brock Purdy struggled yesterday, but Brock Purdy's playing at a very high level as well. You could throw him if you want in there too. These guys are playing at a very high level from the pocket. And I think Tua Tagovailoa right now is playing at the highest level in the pocket we've seen since Tom Brady was playing at a high level in the pocket. And I'll stand on that. I don't care what anyone tells me. You know, you're seeing freaking, I don't want to hear about, does everyone remember when Tom Brady broke the passing touchdown record, how he had to have Randy Moss? Everyone seems to forget about that. Everyone seems to forget Brady never threw for no 40 touchdowns or over 35 touchdowns before he had Randy Moss. So, Tua Tagovailoa right now, I'm sorry. Tua Tagovailoa is the best pocket quarterback in the NFL, and he's the best quarterback in the NFL 6 weeks into the season, 2023. And none of y'all should be shocked. None of y'all should be surprised because we saw this coming last year with his play. I don't know what to tell you. So that's what I got to say. This man is out here. This offense is rewriting the history books with Tua Tagovailoa, and Tua Tagovailoa is rewriting the history books himself. Now, his partner in crime, and I'm so sad. Listen, I'm not this type of person. I overthink things. I'm so sad we didn't draft Tyreek Hill. We could have seen Tua and Tyreek for like 10 years. And this is one of the best quarterback wide receiver tandems ever. I mean, say what you will. Tyreek Hill is better with Tua Tagovailoa than he is with Patrick Mahomes. I don't care if that's a hot take or not. Tua Tagovailoa is the better quarterback for Tyreek Hill. That's just a fact. I'm sorry. It's a fact now. It is a fact now. All right? So let's keep it going with Tyreek Hill, because let's talk about Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has the second most receiving yards in a team's first 6 games of a season at 814 yards. Now, you'd say rewriting the history books. Reason. He's number 2. He's not number 1. What does that mean? Guess what? Those 814 yards are the most in the Super Bowl era. Okay? Back in 1942, there was no Super Bowl. Guys were playing playing safety and quarterback. You guys had leather helmets. Okay? None of y'all even have heard the name Don Hudson before. Let's be honest with ourselves. And he is the only player in NFL history to have 4 games with 150 plus receiving yards in his team's first 6 games of the season as well. Tyreek Hill is next level right now. Tyreek Hill now has 13 games in his career with 150 receiving yards, tied with Calvin Johnson for third most in a player's first 8 seasons. And how many has he put up with those with Tua? He's had 4 alone this year. Only Lance Alworth and Jerry Rice had more through their first 8 seasons. And Tyreek still has a chance to break it, right? The record is 17. He's at 13 right now, and he's still got 11 games left this year. So it's very possible he breaks that. All with Tua Tagovailoa. All with Tua Tagovailoa. These two gentlemen are rewriting the history book together. I don't know what to say. Tyreek Hill is the best player in the NFL right now. Tua might be the best quarterback. Tyreek's the best player in the NFL right now. And I know there's some people still saying, yo, I can't believe this guy said, he's better. He's better with Tua than Mahomes. Is this guy crazy? I present to you Exhibit A. PFF thinks he's better. Tyreek Hill has more games with a 90-plus PFF grade as a Dolphin already than he did as a Chief. He played 104 games as a Chief and only had 6 games with a 90-plus rating. With Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins, he already has 7 games in 24. So he's just under a third of the games he's played. He's had a grade of 90-plus. Look at this. He's already got more games, and he hasn't even played a quarter of the amount of games he played as a Chief. I'm telling y'all, if these guys played, if they even play for 5 years together, if Tyreek can play for another 3 years, and they can play another 5 years total, they will win multiple championships together. Mark my words, they will win at least 2, and they will go down as the greatest quarterback wide receiver duo of all time. And if you were to be able to imagine if we would have drafted Tyreek and we could have had 10 years of these two together. Oh my God. Shout out to Mike McDaniel and Wes Welker for turning Tyreek Hill. He was already one of the scariest players in the NFL, and they turned the dial a little bit with Tua Tagovailoa, and the 3 of them have now helped make him the scariest. Tyreek did a lot of it himself, but they've helped. Wes Welker, McDaniel, Frank Smith, and Tua, and Darrell Bevell too, have helped Tyreek Hill gain that goal of becoming the scariest receiver in the NFL. And this man's on his way to 2K. I don't know what else to tell y'all. This man is on his way to 2K. We are seeing unbelievable stuff from Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill now. We're 5-1 for the first time since 2002. Take it in, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful time to be never mind day. It's a beautiful time to be a Dolphin fan right now, isn't it? And the defense is coming along, and we're into Eagles week, and they are going to have a chance. They're going to have a chance to keep that consistency we've seen the last 2 weeks up and let it rip on the Eagles, because Lane Johnson is apparently looking like he's going to be out. He has a high lateral ankle sprain. It doesn't look like Lane Johnson is going to be playing this week. So let's go, boys. Let's go, man. Aaron Berg, if Tyreek gets 2K, is he MVP over Tua? Here is the conundrum I want to hear right now. If Tua throws for over 5,000 yards and over 30 touchdowns, does he win MVP? Even if Tyreek gets 2,000 yards and Tyreek wins Offensive Player of the Year? That's how I can see this playing out. I think right now Tua's the early favorite for MVP. Tyreek's the favorite for Offensive Player of the Year. And I do think McDaniel is favorite for Coach of the Year right now. So I think Tua's going to win MVP. I think they'll give Offensive Player of the Year to Tyreek. That's what I think is going to happen. Because right now, if you do the math, ladies and gentlemen, right now Tua and Tyreek are on pace for crazy yardage together. I believe right now, as it stands, which is just absolutely, just unbelievably, absolutely nuts. Right now, they're on pace to set single season records as a passer, and as I know heading into the game, heading into Sunday's game, they were on pace to set the single season passing yard record and receiving yard record. Tua was on pace heading into yesterday for 5,488 yards, which would have eclipsed Peyton Manning's record by about 11 yards. And Tyreek Hill was on pace for 2,213 yards heading into yesterday's game, which would have eclipsed Calvin Johnson by just under 300 yards. It's like 250 yards he would have eclipsed him by. So heading into yesterday, that's what I'm saying. Tua Tagovailoa could set the single season passing yard record, and Tyreek sets the single season receiving record. That's what they were on pace for heading into the game yesterday. In that case, Tua gets MVP, Tyreek gets Offensive Player of the Year, I think. That's how it goes. So, and honestly, can I be honest with y'all? And listen, we all love Tyreek. He's been a stand-up guy since he's been here. Great leader, great locker room presence. I'm going to tell you one thing. I think the media likes Tua more than they like Tyreek. I wouldn't be surprised if the media voted Tua MVP over Tyreek just on likability alone. And I don't think that's right. I'm not justifying it. We've seen it happen in other sports. Let's be honest. The reason why Barry Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame and why all that stuff hasn't been settled, it's because he hated the media and the media hates them. The media themselves have talked about it, right? So we've seen the media bias come into effect. Tua's just more likable. And I'm not here to agree with it or disagree with it. I'm just letting y'all know. And ladies and gentlemen, before we get into all the information from yesterday, because we got a lot to go over. Yeah, even Don uses his 26-month membership. He says Tua would get it over Reek due to media bias. I agree with that. I want to show this, though, before we get into everything. We talked about it last week. I'm going to talk about it again. Are Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel the best quarterback and coach tandem in the NFL? I think they're coming up on Andy Reid and Mahomes real quick. Last week, we saw Tua Tagovailoa called his own play, and it resulted in a touchdown because he couldn't hear what was coming in. Well, check what was said after the post game yesterday.
He basically said you could
he
call
is
this
McDaniel.
play or you could do this, but whatever you want to do, I trust that you guys are gonna make it right. So that's what we did, and turned out to be a backflip for Tyreek.
So once again, for the second week in the row, the play calling at one point in the game was put into his hand. Last week was because he couldn't hear. This week was by McDaniel's choice. Both times resulted in deep touchdowns to Tyreek Hill. And, you look at the chemistry of these two, the trust and the chemistry between McDaniel and Tua. It is of Reid and Mahomes. It is of Walsh and Montana. It is of Ben and Tomlin. It is of Shula and Marino. Tua Tagovailoa understands and comprehends this offense at such a high level right now that McDaniel is slowly, I see it as he's slowly loosening the reins even more on Tua, letting Tua grow even more. Should we call him Tua Manning or should we call him Tua Tagovailoa? Peyton Tagovailoa. What are we calling him? Should he go from 1 to 18? Omaha at the line? Is that what we're going to start hearing from this guy? Man, I think right now in the NFL, the only tandem that competes with Tua and McDaniel is Andy Reid and Mahomes. And if they win a championship this year, I'm telling you, they are coming. They are catching up. I mean, Mahomes and Reid are like this right now. They're looking over the shoulder. Here they come. And we're coming quick. Y'all are only 3 weeks away from learning what the deal is in Frankfurt, Germany, baby. Love it. Love it. Oh, man. You know, I'm just, listen. I banged the table for Tristan Wirfs, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jonathan Taylor in that 2020 draft. We got Tua. We got our franchise quarterback. Okay? All right? I banged the table for Mike McDaniel as an OC. I wanted either him or Pep Hamilton when we ended up going with God's here, Stoodsville. Then when he was a head coach, I said, if you are going experienced, you go Harbaugh. But if you're not going experienced, you go Mike McDaniel. That's the move you make right now. And they made that move. And to see all the positivity, all the W's, all the stats, all the greatness, the new culture, and I know some people hate that word, but to see all of this come together right now, man, I was brings a tear to my eye. I tell you, man. But seriously, man, it's man, cover the kids' ears. It's fucking phenomenal, man. It is awesome right now to watch this unfold, man. I am sorry. It is just... And then he takes one of my other draft crushes, Devin A-Chain, and turns him into what he turned him into. And I'm sitting here like, Mike McDaniel, I love you. Oh, my God. You are a god amongst men, Michael. Anyways, I had to get that out of here. I had to say that. You know what I mean? So, man, and what's crazy is, you know, Scotty's alluding to in the comment, is Week 9 a preview of the AFC Championship? Those Bengals are coming on a little bit right now. I told y'all, just wait. Just give them a little bit. They're coming on. But, hey, and gentlemen and ladies, we haven't even hit our stride yet. Keep winning. Keep blowing these teams out without hitting your stride. Don't hit your stride till week 14, week 15 before we head into the playoffs and roll that stride and momentum into the playoffs and we can roll through teams. They haven't even hit their stride yet. Think about that. Woo! And we still got Ramsey, Armstead, and Achane to come back. Woo! And we still got moves we can make at the deadline. Woo! Oh, my God. Let's go. Eagles, you're up. All right. So, from yesterday, last week, I'm all excited here. From yesterday and from everything, this is spot on. These are the snap counts from yesterday. Here is everything. You see the offensive line doing its thing, and some takeaways here. When you look at everything, obviously, it's just some interesting notes. Mostert, clear running back one. Not even close. And then, Julian Hill, look at the snap count Julian Hill got. That's beautiful stuff right there. You see this guy getting involved. I mean, it's just it's positive things right there. So sorry, just give me one sec here. So anyways, continuing on, I mean, Cedric Wilson, I reported on my Patreon. If you guys didn't have a chance to hear it, I reported on my Patreon that I heard that Berrios' knee is quote-unquote messed up. I heard Chase Claypool was getting a lot of reps in the slot last week. A lot of Berrios reps in the slot last week during practice. And if Berrios wouldn't have been able to go and Chase Claypool was active, he would have taken some of Berrios' snaps. But once again, you see you see the snaps. Hey, I mean, right now, Cedric Wilson, he earned it. He had a good week last week. He obviously didn't follow it up this week with anything of a special performance. But hey, I'm not gonna knock him. It is what it is, right? And Smythe, man, it just shows you how much they want a guy out there they can rely on blocking. Smythe saw 44 of the 67 snaps. So, but you like to see Julian Hill step up a little bit. And I do think Ahmed saw too many snaps for the production he was justifying, albeit was that run near the end of the game for a touchdown great? Sure. But Chris Brooks, that was because Chris Brooks went down. Chris Brooks was already looking more explosive just through those first couple, just through those first couple of reps that he got. He was looking more explosive to me than what you saw, right? Now, defensively, when we head over to the defensive snaps, Cam Smith got 4 snaps yesterday. I think he even made a tackle, if I remember correctly. So that's interesting stuff. Cam finally got some reps out there. It took forever, but you're finally seeing Brandon Jones only saw 4 snaps yesterday. Only 4 snaps for Brandon Jones. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Don't like his chances of beating out Deshaun Elliott based off what Deshaun Elliott is giving us. And you keep seeing Van Ginkel. Even with Phillips coming back, Van Ginkel outsnapped Jalen Phillips by, 12 snaps. So, good stuff from him. Bradley Chubb, though, he led the way out of all of them with 49. And, interesting stuff when you look at the defensive side. Cam Good getting 4 in there and out here earning an Academy Award with his fall. That was great. Look at Perry Nickerson getting 20 snaps out there right now. We're giving Perry Nickerson snaps over Cam Smith right now. And albeit that's not a knock because Perry Nickerson's actually been decent when he's been out there, so I'm not knocking him. And Xavien Howard, going to be interesting moving forward. He had 56 of the 65. He had 56 snaps yesterday and for 81%. And now he's battling a groin injury. So that's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out with him moving forward. That's going to be very, very interesting. Now, that said, let's head over. Let's get into the PFF grades for each and every one of y'all. Let's start off with the offensive grades. Y'all ain't going to believe what you're going to see. Tyreek Hill had a 93.2 grade. Raheem Mostert, 91.6. Tua, third at an 81.2. Chris Brooks with a 72. Jalen Waddle with a 71.6. Tanner Connor with his 10 snaps, he had a 66.3. Mike White was the worst graded, obviously, because the pick 6. Julian Hill only had a 46.3. Cedric Wilson had a 47. Look at Austin Jackson, a 48.5. I got to see this grading scale for offensive linemen because I did not see a 48.5 from Austin Jackson yesterday. Every week I'm arguing about some grade here because these grades just don't line up with my eye, and I trust my eye a whole hell of a lot than I trust these guys. Let's be honest with ourselves. Passing. When we get into the passing chart from PFF, which is always wrong compared to Next Gen Stats. Again, Next Gen Stats has literal mechanisms in the football on the field. There's no one that is more on point than Next Gen Stats, and PFF's always off. Let alone they use broadcast footage, not even all 22 to grade. But I digress. They had him 4 for 6 on the deep level, 3 for 5 on the intermediate, 7 for 8 on the short level, and a perfect 7 for 7 behind the line of scrimmage. When he was kept clean, Tua Tagovailoa was 19 of 26 for 2 touchdowns and a completion percentage of 73.1, which is actually adjusted to 83.3 because there was a drop charged. Under pressure, he was 2 of 5 for 40%, 21 yards, and a touchdown as well while he's under pressure. Adjusted completion percentage actually would have been perfect. And, you look at this too. Look at his time to throw. Yesterday's overall time to throw was about 2.33 seconds. When he was kept clean, it was about 2.12, but when he was under pressure, it was about 3.46 because obviously running out, extending plays, making it happen. And Tua yesterday on straight dropbacks, non-play action dropbacks, 16 of 20, a completion percentage of 80, adjusted completion percentage of 88.9. 2 of his touchdowns and 214 of his yards came yesterday from straight dropbacks. So Tua Tagovailoa doing it. Oh, y'all ready for this? Look at who had the best pass blocking grade yesterday. Liam Eichenberg comes out with the number 1 pass blocking grade. Not of his career. He had like an 80 plus last year when he was playing left guard one game. But a 70, this guy had the best pass blocking grade. 0 sacks, 0 hits, 0 hurries, 0 pressures. As a team, the Dolphins were only charged with allowing 4 pressures. 1 from Wynn, Lamb, Jackson, and Mostert. Liam Eichenberg was the only one out of the starting front 5 not to allow a single pressure for the Miami Dolphins yesterday. Over 405 of you guys in the room. Please smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. We are on our way to 12,500. We passed 12.4 yesterday. Please smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. Never thought you'd see that day, did you? Especially at center. All right, now, as an offense yesterday, we had 21 pressures. Obviously not as much as the week before. 12 hurries, 5 hits, 4 sacks. Remember, they don't count half sacks for PFF because they're weirdos like that. Zach Sealer led the way with 5 total pressures. In terms of run stops, Jerome Baker had 5. Bradley Chubb had 4. David Long had 3. Wilkins, who we are used to seeing at the top of that run stop list, was not at that top of the list. So, and your number 1 graded defensive player was Bradley Chubb. Cam Smith on 5 total reps was number 2. Deshaun Hand on 20 snaps was 3. Andrew Van Ginkel was 4 with a 74.9. Christian Wilkins. And then your worst graded, Raekwon Davis and Manuel Ogba, Perry Nickerson, Eli Apple, and Cam Good turn out to be your worst graded defenders yesterday. And this is what everyone's going to be interested about. The coverage matchups. When we look at what everyone did in coverage yesterday, Eli Apple, he allowed 4 receptions on 8 targets for 62 yards, 3 first down. He also had a drop that Terrace Marshall had, but he also had a pass breakup on DJ Shark. Xavien Howard targeted 6 times, allowed 5 receptions for 46 yards, 3 first downs, and he wasn't the target. See, they screwed up, right? He wasn't the target on the touchdown. He was actually the underneath defender. There was someone trailing with he was not the guy trailing Thielen on that touchdown. He was underneath. So they got that wrong. Whoever charted that got that wrong. Now, should he have had the interception? Sure, but that wasn't his man if you go back and watch the play, if I remember correctly. Perry Nickerson, he was targeted 5 times, allowed 3 receptions for 30 yards in coverage. 2 of those for first downs. Kader Kohu targeted 5 times, allowed 3 receptions for 34 yards and 2 first downs. Jerome Baker targeted 3 times, allowed only 6 yards. David Long targeted twice, allowed 1 reception for 16 yards. Javon Holland targeted twice, both Thielen, both receptions for 15 yards, both for first downs. Deshaun Elliott targeted once, allowed the reception for 4 yards to Tremblay. Elijah Campbell targeted once, allowed the reception for 7 yards. Cam Smith targeted once and got the tackle on Blackshear, only a gain of 4 yards. So that is how it looks like from a coverage standpoint when you jump into the PFF grades. So interesting stuff from there. But let's go and let's head in to the next gen stats. Let's start with the passing charts. Let's start with Bryce Young. Hey, man, kudos to Bryce because he was pushing it a lot more than Daniel Jones was the week before against our defense. Bryce Young is going to be good, man. They get that kid some weapons and they get a good team in front of him. Bryce Young is going to be good. Bryce Young is going to be a good player, man. He's going to be a good player moving forward. I truly do believe that. So listen, he didn't show a lot of fear yesterday, and he got comfortable. So, hey man, it's good to see Bryce Young do his thing, and it's nice to see a young quarterback. And I mean, I don't know if you guys happened to see what I showed. I posted a short after the game, and Tua went up to him and hugged him and told him to block out all the media noise and just keep doing his thing. And it's good to see a young quarterback take advice from another young quarterback that's been through it and is excelling right now. Positive stuff. It really is. You know what I mean? So gotta love it. Gotta love what we saw from Bryce Young yesterday. Just as a fan of football, you gotta like what you saw. And then Tua Tagovailoa, he really targeted that right side heavily when we usually see him target the middle of the field. He really did good. He really did. We hadn't seen him attack the opposite side of him like that before, and man, he was just on another level yesterday. What can you say? You see him just shifting around. And now his completion percentage over expected was minus 0.5%, which is okay. Means they expected, it was just lower than what they expected it to be. But, hey, we're all good. We're all good. So love seeing what I saw from Tua Tagovailoa yesterday, spreading that ball around, making it happen. All right. Doing the damn thing. Love to see Tua just go out there and just play football, man. Just spread the ball around, make it happen, push the football. It's a beautiful thing, man. Don't worry, I got your Jabroni of the week. It's coming, but we're saving that for the end because a lot of us are going to fall under that category of Jabroni of the week, pro special. So you're going to want to stick for that one for sure. Here's the next gen stats. Longest completed air distance yesterday was 2 at 45.6. Fastest ball carrier, Tyreek got up to 21.35 miles per hour. Fastest sack was Christian Wilkins at 3.3 seconds. Tua Tagovailoa was 4 for 6 throwing deep. He was 2 for 6 on the intermediate level according to Next Gen Stats. He was 7 for 9 on the short level, and then he was a perfect 8 for 8 behind the line of scrimmage. And you see Bryce Young here couldn't connect on beyond 20 yards, but he was solid on the intermediate level against us. I mean, he was 7 for 11. That's pretty good. Short, he was dicing us a little bit. You know what I mean? 17 of his attempts came from there, and 12 of them were completed. Rushing yards, Raheem Mostert finding success off those edges. And you know what? Listen, didn't find a lot running through the gaps on the left side, but found a little bit of daylight running in the gaps to the right side. Chris Brooks finding a lot of success off that right edge. Salvin Ahmed, that right edge as well. Man, kudos to Austin Jackson. Right there. All right, and Chuba Hubbard, he was finding success everywhere, but basically the right side when he was running against us. Really, they had to get away from him. 19 carries, 88 yards. Could have easily broke 100 against us if that was a closer game, but they had to get away from it. Now, when you look at receiving, the average separation for a receiver around the league is about 2.94 yards. Tyreek Hill had about 3.55. Waddle had 3.475. Berrios had 4.66, and Durham Smythe had 3.73. So all of those guys blew the league average out of the water. On the flip side, they didn't have anyone above the league average. Chark and Thielen were just below it. Marshall, and Hurst were well below it. And obviously, Laviska Shenault was coming out of the backfield, so didn't expect much. Defensive pass rush, look at Brian Burns. The average league of separation is about 4.56 yards. Brian Burns was about 3.81, but everyone else beyond that, Derek Brown, 5.22. Williams at 5.67. Yetur Gross-Matos at 5.92. Whew. And then on the flip side, Jalen Phillips was right there a lot, 3.64. Christian Wilkins at 3.99. Chubb at 4.11. And Seiler at 4.65. So Chubb, Wilkins, and Phillips closer to the quarterback than the league average. Huge stuff today. Now, those are the next gen stats. All of you looking for injury updates. We had some coming out. Here is Barry Jackson's article from today. Dolphins cornerback Xavien Howard will receive treatment on his injured groin this week, and his availability for Sunday's game against Philadelphia depends on how quickly he heals. Howard sustained the injury during Sunday's game against Carolina and said afterward that he feels great. He battled groin issues last season. Day to day, McDaniel said of Howard's status, "We will see how X calms down after treatment." McDaniel said rookie running back, though, Chris Brooks, who was carted off late in the Carolina game with an ankle injury, is week to week. He added that there's swelling that must go down with Brooks before the length of his absence is known. McDaniel said running back Jeff Wilson Jr. was prepared enough to play against Carolina, but the team opted to activate guard Robert Jones instead. Going in with the game plan with regard to the entire team, it kind of necessitated us to have that spot directed somewhere else. So there's your update. Xavien Howard is right now day to day. And as far as Chris Brooks, it's week to week, and we're waiting for swelling to come down. That ain't good. Now, Connor Williams, there is a decent chance he is going to be good to go this week. We're going to see how the week plays out, because again, it's a groin injury, it's nagging, etc., etc. So we're going to see how this plays out. Connor Williams is trending towards playing, but that's a groin issue. It's touchy. Xavien Howard said he feels great, so they're going to see how it goes. I would expect him to play unless treatment doesn't go well this week, and then Chris Brooks is probably not going to be playing. There was an article today from Peter King that I want to go over today. It's Football Morning America. One little excerpt in his 10 things I think. Number 6, he said, I think it's not impossible right here. I think it's not impossible Kirk Cousins gets traded, but I think it's unlikely unless an injury at quarterback forces a playoff contending coach very familiar with Cousins who could play to his strengths to look for a quarterback. My guess is if the 49ers got an injury to Brock Purdy, they'll go with Sam Darnold. But if Miami loses Tua Tagovailoa before the October 31st deadline, who knows if Mike McDaniel would want to roll the dice with Cousins for the rest of the year. There's one other factor. Cousins has a no-trade clause. He's very likely not going to waive it, no matter how bad the situation gets in Minnesota in the next 2 weeks, unless it's as I said, to a coach he knows well with an offense he could master. Listen, that's all fine and dandy. I'm happy you suggested that, Peter King. But first of all, I'm going to tell you, don't put that juju out there about my quarterback potentially coming down with an injury before the trade deadline. That's the first thing I'm going to say to you right now, okay? That is the very first thing that I am going to say to you, sir. The second thing I'm going to say to you is, we don't need that. We roll with Tua and we win in the title with Tua. Don't worry about keep your Kirk Cousins on the other side. Now, on the Monday morning quarterback, their group, they came out with an article yesterday. I'm just going to read this excerpt for you. Tua Tagovailoa, it's fact or fiction. Tua Tagovailoa is the MVP frontrunner, and to them, it's a fact. For the stragglers, it's time to acknowledge that the Dolphins' offense wouldn't work as well without Tua Tagovailoa, who delivered another standout performance Sunday. Many are quick to discredit because he is surrounded by speedy weapons and he benefits from Coach McVDaniel's offensive scheme. But the Dolphins needed the quarterback in Week 6 to help them overcome a 14-0 deficit versus the Panthers. Tagovailoa completed 21 of 31 passes for 262 yards and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions. The narrative that Tagovailoa has too much help is tiring. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen also have plenty of help. Tagovailoa's numbers again suggest he's playing better than those star quarterbacks, making him the early MVP favorite. You can't deny it, baby. Tua Tagovailoa right now is the early favorite. There ain't no doubt about it. Now, someone asked, Reason, who is your jabroni of the week? Well, I'm a jabroni of the week. A lot of the people in the chat are in the jabroni of the week. A lot of people around social media are jabroni of the week. Everyone who doubted Eichenberg's the jabroni of the week. The guy went out and shut all of us up with, it was a little rough at the beginning there, okay? Let's be honest. It was a little rough in that first quarter with those 3 and outs. But everyone who doubted Eichenberg, we are jabronis of the week this week. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a jabroni of the week. You're a jabroni of the week. She's a jabroni of the week. They're a jabroni of the week. That's just what we're dealing with right now. Those are the jabronis of the week. Oh, it sucks, but it's the truth. See? That's how objective I can be. I can call myself and all of you jabroni of the weeks. Gotta love it. I gotta thank all of my channel members and Patreon supporters. There's over 410 of you in the chat right now. Please smash that like button. All of you who helped the channel grow, who let me do this the way I do this. I appreciate each and every one of you. You are all so amazing. All of you in the chat right now who can't afford to donate, who can't afford to become a channel member, there's an easy way you can be as great as these people. Smash that like button. Just smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. It don't cost you a thing. And shout out to Patch Vibes. Right now, you can go there. Patrons and channel members have a special discount code we can find on the community tab or Patreon. But for all the rest of you, 15% off when you use code REASON right now at vibesmiami.com. Go check them out. Listen, the Dolphins are 5-1, baby. I'm going to be back tomorrow with Martin. We're going to break down some film, baby. We're going to break down MVP Tuesday. That's what we're going to call it. So I'll see all of y'all on the next one. I love each and every one of you. Please do me the favor. Smash the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you're new. Dolphins are 5-1. Tua and Tyreek are rewriting the history books. Tua and McDaniel are the best quarterback head coach tandem in the NFL, creeping up on Mahomes and Reed. And I love each and every one of you. 5-1, fins up. #1 in the AFC East. It goes through us.